Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Awesome.
It's been wonderful to work with you. And yeah, and then this like really interactive learning really works. It
Great.
does. It does work.
We are here to guide you through this test jungle. Enjoy these IELTS tutorials, and if you need more help or want to access the famous online course, you can visit us at ieltspodcast.com.
Hi, IELTS podcast students. In this podcast today, we are going to be looking at something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at why people learn a new language. This is hopefully going to be really nice for you to listen to if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by your exam study, by thinking, oh, all I do is study for IELTS, all I do is work hard on my exam, what's the point of this? And just looking a little bit more about the benefits of learning a new language, about why people learn new languages, and as well as looking at what careers you can do when you've mastered your English, when you're fluent, when you're confident, career opportunities, which could be quite exciting for you if you're moving to a new country with your IELTS. And then, of course, we're going to look at the best ways for you to learn and master a language. So my name's Daphne. I'm one of the tutors here at IELTSpodcast.com. Great to have you with us. So I work with Ben, and I'm really interested in learning about languages. So English is my first language, but my father is from Czechoslovakia. So he had to learn English when he was 7. He came to England and went to school in England. He had no English language before that, so he was immersed. So he had to learn to survive, to manage in school. And it's very interesting for me why people learn languages and how they manage to learn it. I speak French. We moved to live in France when I was 15, so I went to a French school. And although I'd done a bit of French in school, that was very hard. I had to really focus and learn very fast. I also studied German in school, though I admit my German is not very good anymore. I love this. This is a proverb. In fact, this is a Czech proverb. And it goes, you live a new life for every language you speak. If you only know one language, you only live once. You live a new life for every language you speak. If you only know one language, you only live once. All right, let's think about why people learn different languages. So many countries have official languages that you need to be able to speak. How many languages can you speak? Does being a polyglot, multilingual or trilingual mean anything to you? So a polyglot, this is great vocabulary, so just make a note of these. You might be able to use these in your IELTS writing or IELTS speaking if you're talking about your own abilities. A polyglot is a person who can speak several languages. Now, interestingly enough, less than 1% of the world population can speak 5 languages fluently. Trilingual, that's pretty easy to guess, is an adjective that describes people who can speak 3 languages. Now, 13% of the world population can speak 3 languages. Maybe you're part of that special 13%. Monolingual is that the people who can express themselves in just one language. So you are already bilingual by listening to this in English. You are working on that skill. And bilingual is 43% of the world population. So that's the ability to use 2 languages. So many people find the thought of learning a new language intimidating. How often have you heard people say, oh, I can't speak languages, it's too hard for me. But once you think about your motivation, and part of this podcast is really about motivation, and evaluate the reasons for wanting to learn, it's actually not that hard. Let's have a look at why people speak more than one language. So not many countries have a single official language. Most have 2, some have more. Some countries such as China, Indonesia, Russia, Mexico, Brazil and Spain also have local and regional languages. In the UK as well, there is Welsh, there is Scottish, there is Irish, and there is also a movement to bring these languages back to life. which I think is really important, really special, and a lot of people are embracing that movement. So in many countries, residents might have to learn more than one language in order to communicate effectively. Now, if you're listening to this and you're in India, you will know India has apparently 16 official languages. South Africa has around 11. Austria, Bahrain, Spain, Singapore have 4. And Mexico and the USA have no official language, but they are home to people who speak several languages. So those are some of the reasons why people have to speak lots of different languages and have to learn. But let's look at some of the benefits. And I really want to broaden this out. Obviously, there's a massive benefit for you in studying for your IELTS exam. We're really happy to help you on that. If you are struggling on IELTS, check out the courses that we offer. Everything from Ben's 12-sentence guide to writing your essays, to our speaking courses, our guides on reading, everything that you need on IELTS we can help you with, and we know it's a really tough exam. So if you're taking your IELTS, it may be for one of these reasons, some of the benefits of learning new languages. It may be for career advancement. So globalization, as we know, is driving the need for multilingual skills. As more companies find customers or suppliers across the globe, they look for professionals who can talk the language within the supply chain. The number of US job postings that required bilingual applicants more than doubled between 2010 and 2015, a clear indication of the growth in demand. And it's the same here in the UK. There are lots and lots of job adverts at the moment for French speakers, for German speakers, for Spanish speakers. It's a really good skill to have. So the ability to speak more than one language will set you apart from your job market competitors. Language skills are highly sought after, appearing in the top 8 skills requirements across all occupations. And as one would expect, where scarce skills exist and where there's demand, employers are prepared to pay for more. So your IELTS preparation, your IELTS work you're doing now, and your IELTS result, when you get your fantastic certificate that you want, is very valuable for you. Well done, it's fantastic news. You don't have to travel to find a foreign language speaker. In the US, more than 60 million residents speak a language other than English at home. So if you've decided to improve your career potential and learn another language, find a native speaker near you with whom you can practice. So whatever career you enter, learning a language will help you up the career ladder. There's a great French proverb relating to this. It says, a man who knows 2 languages is worth 2 men. A man who knows 2 languages is worth 2 men. So if you're bored with your everyday job and you want a career change, maybe that's one of the reasons you're doing IELTS, maybe consider a career where you can use these amazing IELTS skills. Have a look at some careers, we're going to talk about a few now, that need you to speak a second language. So you could be a study abroad coordinator. If you've had the experience maybe of studying abroad and think it changed your life, perhaps you could help others. So study abroad coordinators are the university's go-to person for information about study abroad programs and opportunities. You would be negotiating and liaising with people in other countries, using your language skills and helping, inspiring other people. You could be a private tutor or an online teacher. If you enjoy working with children or adults and love the idea of interacting on a daily basis, you might consider a career teaching a second language. And the advantage of that, as we all know and we've all worked online, is that being a private tutor or online teacher comes with more flexibility to set your own working hours, and teaching is a very fulfilling and satisfying career by helping others to achieve their goals. It's a really good feeling, and I hope that you will feel like that when you work with us and we help you get the IELTS result you need. Being a translator is also a really, really important job, needing very good writing skills. So if writing is your thing, you're really confident in your writing in English, maybe look at something like this. Translators are often required to translate documents, speeches or different kinds of texts from a second language back into their native language. And many organisations require translators for all types of reasons. With ever-expanding global markets, these jobs will be more and more in demand. And I really think this is true despite the huge improvements that there have been in digital, technical, online translation tools. I think all these things still need a human to read through them and to make sure they make sense and make sure they are appropriate for the context. This is still super important and something that we can do and that computers can't. An International Development Programme Officer. So this role is mainly focused on helping develop communities around the world. There are opportunities in government as well as non-governmental organisations that require skills to address issues like health and sanitation, economic development and more. Some roles require a technical or administrative skills, but as these international development officers mainly work abroad, it is imperative that you have enough language skills to communicate with locals. Many charities, many of these non-governmental organisations use English as their first language. So you can see how that would be a fantastic way to use your skill if you wanted to travel overseas. And of course, many of you are working in business already. So if you're in the field of sales or business, to expand your horizons, you might want to add another language to your skill. If you don't speak English that well, or you're confident at writing but maybe not confident at speaking, it's a great reason to motivate yourself to work hard at your speaking, so that if you're traveling abroad and negotiating and getting involved with people from different countries, you can show your skill and you can show your cultural competency, understanding the language without offending anybody. Let's look at some of the benefits. That was more on careers. Let's look at some of the more personal, cognitive, other benefits of speaking lots of different languages. There's another quote here which I really like. The limits of my language are the limits of my world. All these quotes we're looking at are really talking about expansion, talking about the value that you personally gain and you personally can then offer from this new language learning experience. So one of the first benefits is that speaking multiple languages makes you more intelligent. Yep, it's true. Research has shown that learning a new language enhances your critical thinking skills, can make you a better problem solver, enhances your memory. You're working very hard with different parts of your brain, learning vocabulary, mastering the grammar, putting that into practice, making an error, learning again, learning from that error, practicing again. It's a fantastic cycle, isn't it? And there's nothing like learning a new language to connect you to different cultures. Once you know the language, you can read the literature, watch movies, understand people, get to know the mentality. That gives you a real insight into a whole nother culture, a whole nother part of the world. Learning a new language can give you a new perspective of your own culture and people. When you learn how others think and live and behave, you may get a better understanding and appreciation of your own values. Or you may look at your own culture and think, we could learn something from this other culture. There may be some value added that you could think about. And in learning a new culture, you become more accepting of others. You better understand their opinions and their values, and then you as a person become more flexible. When you speak another's language, you learn from them, and I think you can see things from their perspective, and that allows you to understand global spheres and global movements in a better way. For me, that's been really true as I've learned more languages and as I've been exposed to different cultures, not just in Europe, but other cultures as well. You start to understand what's important to other people, what's important to their traditions and their heritage, and you understand that much better. I think the key word here is becoming more tolerant, which is obviously really special and really important. On a social point of view and on a business point of view as well, learning a new language and understanding a new culture opens new networking opportunities. So that enables you to meet new people and make new friends. And when you learn a language, the new neural networks form in your brain So that's why there are multiple cognitive benefits associated with language learning. So research suggests that multilingual people have better decision-making skills. They're more used to processing lots of different information at one time, working out which language goes into which section. And when you learn a new language, you don't just learn the vocab and the grammar. You also start to pick up hidden meaning and colloquial expressions. And that gives you that ability to really interact with people on a more connected basis. And because of all the practice, it's thought that multilingual people become more confident in the decisions that they make. Many multilingual people perform better in academic subjects. So because of these higher cognitive skills, they often have better marks in maths, as well as in comprehension, reading, vocabulary. So if you've learned, relating this back to IELTS, and for me this is very relevant, if you have a wide vocabulary in other languages, you can bring that vocabulary into your English, be capable of mistranslating words, but if you know a word in your language which you think would be perfect, that's fantastic. Translate that correctly, use that in your writing. And you can also benefit yourself in reading practice with IELTS, because as you're looking at words in a text, you might see words that are either familiar to you from your language or familiar to you from another language you've learned. Most languages pick up elements from other languages, so that really, really helps you understand better the reading texts and write to a higher level. Another benefit is that apparently using multiple languages delays the onset of cognitive decline, because your brain is having to work hard and your brain is having to work fast. So let's look at some of the best ways to learn a new language. And I think this very much relates to exam learning as much as learning for pleasure. A lot of this is about motivation. I think it's important when you're studying for an exam that you keep motivated. For me, it's one of the biggest problems is people getting tired of writing and tired of studying. So let's put some of the joy back into it. There's some really important things. I like this. This is from an omniglot, someone who speaks a lot of languages. And he says, you don't have to understand all the words in the conversation. You can fill in the gaps. Don't worry about mistakes. Learn from them. And that's very liberating when you think about that. Just speak. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. Just listen. It doesn't matter if you don't understand everything. It's fine. Another speaker who speaks 8 languages makes this point, and now you know this. Learning a new language requires consistent daily practice. Start speaking sooner rather than later. You should practice your pronunciation as often as you can. You won't gain confidence or fluency until you can properly pronounce words. And without confidence, you'll never be comfortable speaking the same language. Check out our Speaking Confidence course. That is a really good way of giving you practice and helping you become more familiar listening to yourself and learning from your mistakes. And if you understand why you've decided to learn a new language, you understand the motivation. The motivation for an exam is clear, but the motivation, the joy of learning, is also really important. So appreciate that and give yourselves a pat on the back for all the hard work you're doing and all these benefits you're going to have. Set realistic goals. If your goals are unobtainable, you're more likely to be overwhelmed and more likely to give up. This doesn't mean you shouldn't challenge yourself, but maybe you should set a goal with an upper limit and a lower limit. If you're thinking about vocabulary, maybe thinking about learning 25 new words a week, or focusing on one topic each week, and then testing yourself at the end of the week to see what progress you've made. That's an easier way than to say, I'm going to learn 1,000 words every week. That's unrealistic. So set a realistic goal. Know that language will never be the same. Once you've understood a new language, you can really make a lot of progress in traveling. And new languages, as we said before, will open up doors to watching films, to reading books, to finding friends. As we said at the beginning, many of you will live in countries where you have other language speakers around you. And the best way to learn a new language is to find someone who speaks. And they can point out where your pronunciation could do with some improvement. Or team up with a friend who's learning the same language as you, and you can encourage each other and track your progress. Don't worry about mistakes. Mistakes offer useful learning opportunities. And as we say in writing, and this is a big thing in our essay writing feedback and improvement service, where you send in your essays, we mark your essays personally to you, point out your mistakes, show you how you can improve, and the next time you write, same thing again, you're showing us what you've done and we're showing you how you can keep on improving. It's the fastest way to make progress in your writing. Absolutely no doubt about it. Feedback helps you improve. So when you're getting feedback on writing, or you're getting feedback from a native speaker on your speaking, you won't make so many mistakes in the future. So give yourself the best chance. Give yourself the learning materials you need. Invest in help if you need help and you want some feedback. Use proven methods of learning. So feedback, improvement, feedback, improvement. And that is the best way for us to learn. Take time out to enjoy the culture. This thing about watching films, reading books, exploring the internet and different subjects, different content is fun. That's your time out, but you're still reading in a different language, so you're still learning. So spend time with it. Listening to this podcast, fantastic. It's like a listening exercise, but hopefully more enjoyable. But that kind of thing is fantastic. You're having to focus on what I'm saying. You're listening to my accent, and all the time you're learning and you're understanding. Learn the phrases that you're going to use in real life. I think this is very important as well. Rather than learning a list of rather random phrases, use language in context. I think it's really important, that idea of learning phrases you're going to use in everyday life. And that allows you to start using what you know. The final suggestion I'd like to leave you with is this lovely quote from a professor who teaches linguistics. And he says, know why you want to learn the language. You want to learn the language for your IELTS, but there are wider benefits, and hopefully I've shown you today some of those amazing careers you could do, and some of those really, really good reasons, cultural understanding reasons why it's great to learn more languages. And then actively communicate and listen to native speakers. This is such a good way to learn. That is a really practical thing that you can do. Know why you want to learn the language, actively communicate and listen to native speakers. So in summary, we know that learning a new language isn't easy, but with some structure and the right set of tools, you can make it happen, and you can make it happen fast. Language requires practice, but the benefits are worth the time it takes to become fluent. You know that satisfaction when you say something and someone understands you and they respond. That's brilliant. And when you speak a new language, you're immersing yourself in the culture of someone, of another country. You can read their literature and you can watch their performing arts, and you understand their world in a very different perspective, which also broadens your understanding of the world. And when you start to communicate, you feel a sense of achievement. And as we said, career-wise, there is no doubt at all that learning a language will help you succeed in your career. Back to IELTS. If you need to succeed in your career, you may well need IELTS. That may be why you're listening to this. If you want help in your IELTS, the first thing to do, sign up to the newsletter. The newsletter will have all the latest special offers on all our courses, essay correction, feedback, speaking courses, and the other benefits we offer you in terms of reading all the content online on the academic writing as well as the general writing. So sign up to the newsletter. Share the podcast with your friends. Get them to sign up as well. And we'll really be delighted to help you on the course, the 12 sentence guide course, which helps you how to structure and how to master that very tricky task 2 writing essay. Thank you for listening, everyone. I hope this has given you a little break from just IELTS study podcasts. Maybe this has motivated you to keep going on your language learning. I'm Daphne. Thank you.
for listening to IELTSpodcast.com.